Our next guest will be Sanguine, aka Crow. Very well known in the Minewind community. Been around for years, which he'll explain it. So let me just. So if you guys have anything that you want us to cover in this podcast, just type it in chat, any of the questions or anything like that. And we'll go through and talk about it. Just waiting on Crow to jump in because you know how good Crow is. Poor Fossil's getting a bit anxious too, I looks at it.
He's antsy, that one.
You spent the last 6 months perfecting your base. Yeah, you're on Sun too. You'll be safe as houses in there. What server does it? Everyone in chat, I know Jazzy, you play Ark. Creepy, you play Sun. Any others? Anyone from Throne or Arrow in here as well? I know no one mains Azor anymore, so. Just waiting on Crow to get. Crow's a bit shy, guys. Go easy on him to start off with. Hello, Legit. Welcome to the stream, buddy. I have no life. It's probably why you play Minewind. I don't think any of us have a life. How long have I been playing Minewind? I've been on, I think it's about 500 days-ish.
Profile.
Yeah, I'm doing it now. 489 days. So I've been on for quite a while.
Pretty sure that's the day I joined as well.
Yeah. I think you joined like the day after, but pretty much the same.
You've just got to one-up me every single time, don't you?
Yeah, I have to. Sorry. So wait, guys, mate. It's my podcast. Do what I want.
I'll fucking leave.
If Gray doesn't hurry up, he's going to be leaving himself.
Don't give him the option. Don't say that because he.
No, I know which option he'll take. We might have to drag Fossil in since Crow's been a baby back bitch. So. All right, we'll bring Fossil in. Fossil can talk. He's in the wrong one. Hello, Fossil. Hello.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
Good. Welcome to the podcast. Just a quick little background. How long have you been on Minewind for?
I joined about a week in, played off and on, good first 2 years or so, and then took a few breaks here and there.
Yeah, so you're the true old F word. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would agree.
Was Minewind your first Minecraft server?
I believe so. I think I played a Hunger Games server previous to that, but other than that, I played Xbox Minecraft, believe it or not.
So that's where your toxicity comes from.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you sort of like about Minewind the most that makes you play for so long?
Honestly, it's partially the community and partially like the items. I've grown attached to how everything works. Even grow fond of some of the events, the summer events, and all that.
Yeah, sweet. Cool. Are you one of you've held mythicals before, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be a big attraction. I feel like having a mythical or even holding one be pretty insane.
Yeah, that's true. Even without those, I know a few people who have every event item, beyond a certain point. Like that stuff's kind of fun, having like one of everything or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's why I hoard so much. I think I've got about 5 of everything, and I don't want to sell it. And Bird just like, can we please get rid of it?
Get it out of my e-chest.
Yeah, just sits there lots of ways. Got nothing to do with anything. Okay, cool. You play mostly Throne?
Yeah, I do a good mix, but I hang out mostly on Throne for sure, yeah.
Yeah, so the only server that we don't play on, lucky you. So we're trying to get Crow in at the moment, guys, because it's Crow. You know, he can suffer from a bit of stage fright. I'm guessing Kira's gone now, so I guess it's going to be us.
Yeah, he said he was able to hop in maybe for a bit, but we'll have to see.
That's all right. I'd get Jazzy in, but I know it'd just be autistic screaming the whole time, so we can't really have that going on.
Oh, that school background noise.
If I hear his teacher rousing on him the whole time. I'm just going to drag Crow in. I can't. Oh, damn it. It's like Crow thinks he's talking in front of like 1,000 people.
You should be used to this at this point.
There's dead set. There's only 10 viewers, Crow. Relax. And one of them's Jazzy, so it doesn't even count. So you'd probably know the background of Minewind a bit more. So it started off with Ark, right? Ark was the first server.
Indeed, yes.
Then how long into the server, or roughly, do you think until Throne was created?
It felt like quite a while. Honestly, that was a little bit after God Repairs came out.
Yeah, okay.
But at this point, you know, it's quite old. I think it might be a difference of 600 days or so, maybe.
Yeah, sweet.
Maybe
So
500.
Almost that 2 year and a half mark. Cool.
Yeah.
So what was it like with that first sort of transition period, you know, like from like Throne opening up, obviously, did everyone just rush to Throne and leave Ark, or was it a bit of a
Yeah,
mix?
honestly, that was kind of how it went. Like at this time, there were two big clans, and they both rushed there to, you know, get the upper hand there.
Yeah.
Somebody bought a salty off the site and won the first bait, I think it was, and that was the turning point, really.
Did the whole shop come out with Throne opening up, or was it out before that?
I think it was pretty early on. I think you could buy even the F10s really, really early on. It was when it was
really?
just Sterns and Itchables, I think.
So that's why Crows pay to win. Okay, I get you. And then what was it like when Era opened up? I believe Era was the next one. Was it sort of the same thing, if you remember?
It was similar, and people did stay there for a while. What was more interesting about that was people came from both Throne and Arch at that point, or Arc, and you know, you see Steve and Miguel came, and then some of the big Arch players as well. Yeah, they all came over, so it was quite an interesting mix.
Yeah, cool. What do you think now? Like, if there was another server to open up, say obviously an extension of Sun, do you reckon that would be like the same sort of stuff, as in people would just rush to it from all different servers, or do you reckon it would kind of be a bit dead?
I think it wouldn't last quite as long, and I don't think it would be quite as populated. I don't think it would jump off as the most populated server, because certain people I don't think at this point are going to move over.
Yeah.
I think you'd get a nice mix of everyone from each server, you know, certain people who tired or a little bored. So it'd be kind of a cool conjunction of all the servers for at least a little while.
Yeah, I feel like it'd kind of be that thing where like the older players would go over for a week, but you're always going to be dragged back to your main server. Like I know when Bird and I went to Ark, it was fun for that first sort of month too, and then it was like, we kind of got everything on Sun. Why would we bother getting everything on Ark?
Yeah, exactly.
Grindy feeling again. Is that your feeling? Is that what you felt?
Yeah, I would agree. I think there would definitely be some people who stick with it, because at this point there's a lot of people who even dislike their main servers, which is an interesting topic.
Yeah. Thanks for the follow, Creeper Masher. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I feel like now, like I would like another new server, just because it puts everyone on that sort of starting point. No one's really got a real big head start, you know, like when we go to Ark and there's people with all these OP gears and all this event stuff, and then you're running around with Snowy or P5, and it's like, yeah, I kind of can't contend here. But the new server would kind of be like, everyone has to start off with just gods and stuff, and they're really, you know, those good PvPs will take castle and bait because everyone's on the same playing field, really. Yeah,
for sure. And that's one of the interesting things, even, is back when both Era and Throne started up, there weren't as many pay-to-win players. So every time somebody would pay to win, it would actually be quite an advantage rather than the grind or anything like that. So when a new one started up would start up, it would be interesting to see, you know, who buys what, and then kind of goes from there.
Yeah. I suppose that's a big thing now is like everything's just so easy to not even just get, but just to buy as well. Like it's not even that expensive when I'm speaking on behalf of myself, obviously, but I don't find it too expensive to just be like, hey, here's, you know, 5-10 keys that can win me this 5-10 keys back in a couple of events.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah. Hello, Tumo. I haven't seen you for a while, dude. Still trying to get Crow in. I don't know what happened. I can see he's online.
Yeah, he got a bit shy.
Did he?
Yeah.
Tell him it's all good. We're just general chit chat. I'd love to hear Crow's sort of. Obviously, he's been the more consistent player through all this arc change, through the whole
for sure.
and era. It'd be good to hear what Crow.
Even
had.
after I came back at one point and started playing, and that's when I met him. And anything after the point where I met him, he'd probably have a lot more knowledge on for sure.
Yeah. What was it like with all the, like, I know now it gets a bit annoying with event stuff, like we have Cupids, we had Falcon, we had all stuff like that. What was it like when, you know, like Infirm came out and all those sort of real new things?
Infirm was a big one. It was, you know, whenever anything comes out, it's thought as being way overpowered. It balanced itself out, but became very standard very quickly. There wasn't actually a lot of people who would spam it quite as much back then. It took a bit for that to catch on. Before people really started to see its true power, I would say. Yeah.
I feel like
there's a few. I mean, the backlash of even Nepenthes being released was similar to Falcon and Cupid, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. When Falk come out, I was just like, what is this? Like, this is like a machine gun as a bow.
Yeah.
But then,
it was originally like the shirt or Power 13, and it was almost like a joke, and then they upped it, and it was like, all right, here we go.
I suppose you really only had that one god set too, didn't you? So like a bow like that against P5 or even just a normal god set would have just been like horrendous.
Yeah, and then the Penthus came out and it would pop Talpas at like after people would go mental complaining to Lexi and all that.
Yeah, I guess that's probably why there wouldn't be that many pay to win plays, because it would have been so easy for gear to break as well. So buying IRL armor for what?
Yeah.
You know, half a castle before it pops that quickly, you'd probably just be like, nah, stuff that.
Yeah, back early in the 1.8 with how everything worked, not many people used the god armor just because it wasn't quite as good for what you got out of it. Certain people wanted like that ultra protection if they had like a special weapon or something like that. But other than that, it took a while to catch on.
So what was it like with, you know, like you had all these god weapons, like obviously with 1.12 is the only thing I'm really know about. So how did they really work, you know, with you have your mist, you have everything else? Were they as powerful as what they are now? Was that a big meta, like these whole, you know, full strikes and stuff like that compared to 1.8?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. The in 1.8, you know, you took a lot more damage, but then again, one Gapple will kind of save you from a lot of damage as well. So the goal for everyone was basically you want as much sharpness as you can with minimal knockback. Yeah. So, you know, it took a while before even the Sharp 7s was I think when they released those. And that became kind of like the best you could get until people kind of figured out you could scythe someone and then durn them while they're scythed for the no knockback. But not a lot of people were able to kind of switch between weapons that skillfully like that.
Yeah, okay.
It was a balance between like kind of those three weapons, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I always found it interesting with like with all these weapons back in 1.8, how would it actually work? Like I would almost say it'd be harder to use them in 1.8, do you think?
With the ones here, I would say so. I mean, it would really change certain ones like the Kiga or the Kika, and certain ones like that would definitely change, especially with the sharpening. Like, you know, we saw the sharpening after 1.9, so with Scythe, I would say is a big one. Who knows what that would be like.
Scythe is just a cop out when it's like I like the balance of the Scythe where it's not really that great when you just use it by itself, but once it's sharpened, it actually is, you know.
I find it I find it very enjoyable. Certain people really dislike it, but I mean, when it came out, it was just the coolest weapon there was. Yeah. People ignored how good it was.
You know, I think it's one of my favorite weapons, and as I've been trying to get another hoe in for so long, and then when Baff come out, I was pretty damn excited, and then I found out, well, it's not really that useful for like our style of fights because we pretty much have the numbers. So I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah, kind of a bit hurtful there. It'd be cool if they implemented some sort of friendly fire, like anti-friendly fire in Castle.
Yeah,
kind of help with that.
I do like the upgrades they did to Castle with the whole your Guardians don't attack allies and stuff. I feel like that was a nice thing that Minewind did.
That was very nice. I was surprised when I saw that. I was thinking Castle, maybe even on Arch, and I wasn't getting attacked, and I was very surprised. That was very cool.
What do you think was better, the old 1.8 sort of Arc Throne Minewind, or the Minewind now as what it is?
That's a tough one, honestly. For me, there's three kind of eras to it. You've got the original 1.8 with the just Arc and Throne, and then you've got kind of like the Arc Throne era, which was like 1.12 or so, but without the events, Snowy and all that.
Yeah.
Which was a really interesting era as well. I kind of enjoyed that. And then now you've got all of the event items. And honestly, if I had to choose, I kind of like all the event items. It kind of adds a lot to it, makes it a lot more interesting.
I feel like it's another thing to think of, like when you gear for Castle or a fight or something, like you've got to sort of think a little bit more about what you actually take, whether you take Cupids, whether you take Folk, whether you take Infirm, Itcher. Like you've really got to start to think about it now with the variety there is. I just sort of half of me wishes though that it wasn't so bloody strong. Like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot to choose from. I mean, I see people who are kind of struggling to pick certain sets and all that.
Yeah.
Even now, even with certain sets that are kind of standardized, you still see a lot of different uses.
Yeah, for sure. We might be able to drag Kira in.
Yeah, that's true.
I guess his internet's
Shit.
Is Crow going to come on or not, Bird?
No, don't think so.
So much hype. Poor Crow.
I know, right? I wanted to hear what he had to say.
Do we have any other old F words around?
I don't think there's any online.
Damn. Should have used a backup plan. Stream sniper.
Unless you want to get K in.
No, I need someone older. I want real old. Is Steve online? Steve probably won't be online either. Is that Steve or Crow or Wiz?
I don't know.
Can you see Bird in our Discord?
Just Siphon.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure who that is.
That's I'll hit him up.
It's either Steve or Wiz.
I think that's Steve.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that's
Steve.
what I'm thinking that too.
Has Hobo been around?
Hobo was interested in it, but he's usually fairly busy too.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll hit him up. See what
He'd
he
have some
says.
stories.
Hobo is one of those like just real cool sort of chill dudes that's been around forever, and he just always just pops up every now and then.
Yeah.
He just wants to enter spam at Castle.
That's his favourite thing to do. I swear that's the only thing he comes for. Just waits for it to rain.
He's like, let's fuck the sun right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen MK much either. They're pretty much, you guys are pretty much the only ones that I know that are really, the sort of old OG sort of players.
Yeah, I haven't seen many still around. I've seen Tunde pop back and forth every now and then, and of course Glenn.
Yeah, I haven't seen Glenn much since all the updates have happened.
He was on the other day.
Yeah, he
He's on for bait, and I kept hitting
He
him.
hasn't played that often.
Yeah.
Again, he comes to enter spam as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Glenn. Glenn's the type of person that, like, if you're his friend, he's such a good friend to you. But if you're an enemy, you're just going to it's just a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, he's a real core Minewind player for sure.
Yeah. I might be able to get Hobo in.
Yeah, he's online on the other Discord.
Yeah, I know. I'll get him an invite in. I always forget that Hobo's so old because he plays Sun. Like all the older players sort of
Yeah,
go
you don't
back
see
to
a lot
Arc.
of people switching over. I know a few people switched over to Era as well when it came out.
Yeah. I just got to. He's busy with life. Jazzy, I wish you'd be busy with school, man, honestly. Why is my invite invalid?
Just get him in the Discord. In the Discord.
Yeah, I'm trying. They said the invite was invalid for the Discord.
In the Twitch, then. Just get him in the Twitch channel, and then we can put it in.
I should be able to invite him straight into the voice channel. No, can't do that either. Do you reckon you'd be able to sort out an invite, Bird?
Yeah, just give me a sec.
I've got it now. Disregard. Wellfedhobo. That's a good name.
Not for any dating services.
So, quick backstory on Hobo. Can you mod him, please, Bird? So Hobo one day said that he was going to go on a dating site. I hope he wants us to tell this. On a dating site. So we're trying to come up with names that sort of sound like his because he kind of figured Wellfedhobo wasn't an appropriate name for a dating site. So I just exposed Hobo. Hello, Hobo.
Yeah, great. Hi.
You come in at the right time. So, Hobo, how long have you been playing Minewind for?
Since like Alpha 0.3.
So you're one of the true old OG players.
Back in my day, we had the game on Pentium 4s.
Did they even have internet? Did they have the old dial-up, you know, where it had to have like the phone dial and the ringtone and shit? Is that back in the days of old Minewind?
Well, not Minewind, but yeah, kids these days just don't understand having to do anything on a modem.
I just remember I had a long ass cord that I had to take from like the kitchen all the way to the bedroom and then plug it into the computer to connect to the internet.
I remember having to run like really long downloads overnight when everyone was asleep.
Yeah. Remember LimeWire? Did anyone use LimeWire here?
Shit.
Everyone should have used one.
Back in the day when you like on purpose gave your computer herpes.
And you'd always download like a 2-minute song, but it'd be 30 seconds of just one of the American presidents repeating stuff over and over. That was a good time. Cool. So, Hobo, what did you think about the changes from Arc to Throne? What was your experiences when Throne first opened up?
We thought it was a pretty stupid thing to do, but I guess we kind of understood.
Yeah, I guess when you're a business as well, the more money that you're going to get, obviously the better it's going to be.
And I guess like back in the day, it was only Arch, that was the only server, and I guess at the time the map was just getting really, really big and really hard to manage. So I think that was probably the reason for the original split from Arch to Arch and Throne.
Yeah, sweet. Was
course,
did it first come out as a
run?
Yeah, sorry. Did it first come out as a 30 mil or 16 mil, whatever it is now? Was that the first map of Arc as well?
Yeah, in the beginning it was just that one map, and it was no world border at all.
Oh, okay.
And
No
back in
one ever
those
really
days, like Nether Roof running wasn't disabled, and
Yeah.
I know one guy who went full autist. He had like the setup with the arrow key or the W key push down and the mouse like auto eating food. He had stacks of food, and he'd just leave it out overnight, and he'd just run millions.
Yeah, that'd be yeah, I'll definitely we experienced some in a server that we went to of the old Nether roof running, and it was quite interesting, quite easy to do. We're just talking about just before Hobo, sort of new to old Minewind, like sort of which one do you like or prefer, the old 1.8 sort of Arc Throne or the sort of the new 1.12 rest of the servers basically?
Oh, hands down, 1.8 back in the day, it was different. You had a lot less god gear. The spam clicking was amazing. You didn't have to be good at PvP to really be able to compete in anything.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I feel like going back to 1.8 and playing like Hypixel and that was so much harder to learn to 1.8 than what it was to 1.12. Like 1.12 is just a lot of timing based, but 1.8 is a whole nother kettle of fish with movement, with combos, with just mind blowing how much it's different.
I still haven't gotten the hang of it, honestly.
Yeah.
I keep trying to spam click with an axe, and it just it doesn't do anything.
Does that sort of turn you off PvP? Because I know when I speak to MK about sort of 1.12 and that, he just struggles too hard with, you know, the big transition of that whole sort of no spam click, really got to have a good timing and stuff like that. Do you sort of feel the same way that you struggle a bit and it turns you away from the PvP?
Kind of. I mean, I guess PvP didn't used to really require any kind of skill. Now you really have to pay attention to your indicators and make sure that you're not attacking too soon based on whatever weapon you've got.
Yeah.
It just added a layer of complexity to a game that, I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't exactly meant to be that complicated.
Yeah, true. I guess evolution, mate, that's what it's all about. I mean, the thing with Minecraft is how stale and boring can it be just building something over and over again? I guess you have to throw in some different stuff every now and then. Even playing a bit of the 1.13 stuff is so different as well. And it's probably not as big difference as 1.8 was to 1.9. But even like stuff like the sensitivity struggles, the new swimming, stuff like that, I guess it keeps you playing the game for another 6 months to try and perfect that sort of stuff. Much the same as 1.8 would have been for 1.9.
I guess I'm kind of looking forward to it. I haven't really even played much 1.13 other than to just jump into a world and try to get a trident. I think that's literally all I've done.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, we'll move on to events and more specifically, these summer events, the Christmas and stuff like that. Coming up, do you eventually think you're going to see, as soon as 1.13.1, as it will be, goes on to Minewind, do you feel like there's going to be a trident sort of OP weapon, normal weapon? What do you guys think of that sort of stuff?
I think it's an interesting topic. I think I have my doubts. Some people think it's a great idea. You know, everyone was waiting for the God Shield when 1.9 came out. I think that if they do add something, it'll probably be a legendary weapon in Castle.
Yeah.
I have doubts about a normal God weapon for sure, though.
Yeah. Bird, you wanted a shield for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, I did. I think it would change a lot of the castle fighting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Fuck that Nep off.
Yeah. I know Nep's
Yeah.
And shields aren't used in PvP. I know when Bird and I went not long ago to another PvP server and started to use shields, which was a bit different for us, but it sort of made a pretty big difference. If you can time that shield to when someone's hitting or trying to crit hit, you know, you take away a lot of the damage, especially with axes or a Kiga as well. So that
especially anything with timed attacks, the axes. It's I would say it's definitely an underrated meta for sure.
Yeah. I do see where Bird's coming from, like an extra unbreaking shield though, not just your normal, you know, shitty unbreaking one. It's not really going to do a lot. It's going to break in a couple of shots. Like one that can actually withstand, you know, like almost a full 1v1 if it's necessary. So, Tridents, you guys reckon are kind of going to be just a legendary, not an event. They're not going to release an event where Trident is the weapon of choice, as we've seen with all the other events.
It could be possible with as an event item, holiday wise. I wouldn't rule out that as a possibility. But I feel like if they're going to add it permanently, it'll be a castle item for some reason. Yeah. It seems to be what they like.
But somehow it's going to end up being nerfed to where it's just not completely overpowered. That's one thing the owners of Minewind have been generally pretty good about, is finding a good balance between all the gear.
Yeah, that's what I think. I like the armor sort of things. I feel like they're a lot of balance. There's so many different sort of combinations that you can go with that sort of suit your style and stuff like that. But in terms of the weapons, I feel like there's some weapons that are they're pretty much you have to have them. Otherwise, you're not going to compete really.
Until you have a sharpness weapon that's up in the 2024s, you're not going to be doing much with a vanilla mist or a vanilla scythe for sure.
Yeah. For sure.
Sharp 30 mending, only way to go.
You and Berg. Yeah, you and Berg can have those ones. So what do you guys actually think about these holiday events? Do you think it's a good thing for Minewind? I mean, back in the day, you guys only had, as you were saying, with Era, there wasn't any sort of event stuff. Do you feel like that was a good thing for Era to not have him? And I suppose his son as well, Hobo, you'd be more with the son. With, son was about 6 months before it had its first event. Do you feel like the events are a good thing or sort of a bad thing?
They're definitely a good thing. On a PvP server like this, a lot of noobs can't afford any good armor, but if they can shoot a bow or chase rabbits or whatever the event is, they can have a chance at getting some decent armor, and they can actually compete a little bit against people who can definitely afford with all the degs, to get some of the better stuff.
Yeah.
But there's
I
too
think
much
it helps the
shit.
server overall for sure.
Yes. So what were you saying, Bird?
The 2 months long summer event, that shit needs to be cut out pretty quick.
Yeah,
It's
last
rough.
year it was not like this. It lasted like maybe 4 weeks or something.
it
It
was
was not. Yeah, it was not like this. This is ridiculous.
I remember when we did the summer event, and we were so hyped last summer to do it, and we grinded it out and all that sort of stuff. It was exciting for us, and I do think it does bring sort of something to do in the server. Like, you're not just going to run around and build 16 different bases because it is a grief zone. So stuff like that. It was exciting for personally me. I remember standing in spawn and going, what the hell is all this stuff? And then all of a sudden there was Blazer. I remember texting Bird straight away, get on now, sort of stuff. Like, it was good to get all the friends on, and we did create a lot of relationships with people and open up Discords and that, and sort of bring our little clan community together, which was also fun as well. But yeah, I don't know about this, 2-week event sort of stuff. We do have a Sun Discord, which we were just talking before, where someone said they wanted to buy an EMP, which is obviously the Easter pickaxe that gives XP. Wanted to buy an EMP for 10 summer keys. And I brought up the question of, what do you value summer keys as? And they come up with 10 dragon eggs. And I said, well, to be honest, Midas keys are, rarer than what summer keys are at the moment. So you'd have to value them at under 7 dragon eggs. Whereas for other events, if you have, my keys now that I've got from Easter, from Christmas, I'm not selling for anything more than 100 dragon eggs. Do you guys also agree that this summer event was a little too long, or do you guys like it?
It really
I would
depends
say so,
on
yeah.
how you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Right now, the market is just flooded with summer stuff, and it's going to be for a long time. So if you were looking at it from an economic standpoint, yeah, the economy is kind of screwed when it comes to summer gear.
If you like to see a different gear set, as in more of a god's, I guess 3 out of the 4 armors are mending, aren't they? So I guess the noobs, as we call them, can sort of keep that armor for quite a while rather than having to get, god repairs and stuff like that, compared to, having P5, which is definitely not as strong or not as useful.
And if
I
they
think
were
it's
really
definitely
grinding
great
the
for those
event,
players.
yeah, if they were really grinding the event, not only do they have, a set that'll last a while, they have multiple sets.
Yeah.
It's good for keeping people on Minewind, both in the fact that the gear for the noobs, of course, as you mentioned, but also just the blazes and spawn are keeping people online, even if they don't really have anything to do. They're just shooting blazes and spawn, and it keeps the player count up.
That's literally what I've been doing at work. Is when I need like a 10-minute break, I'll get on and I'll just grind some event for a little bit, get a key.
Yeah, I guess it's like a two-way street, because if you are a newer player, like I know, like the whole good thing about Minewind was when I first started, and Bird was probably the same as this, like the whole thing of trying to be the best and get those sort of gears. But like obviously back in the day, Midas keys for us were not even a once a week thing. So when we got it, it was a fairly exciting sort of time. I think Bird can still even remember the first time we got Infirm and I killed him trying to get XP by fishing. So
oh man, you guys don't even know the kind of drama there used to be just around any special item, especially like back in the day with the whole Lightbringer saga.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll get on to mythicals, but yeah, I remember Fossil was saying just before, the first person that bought a salty at bait and one bait, and everyone was sort of blowing up about that. Let alone, yeah, I just like the whole grind of it. I had to start off, and then P4 was a thing that Kira used to give us, and we were like, oh shit, we got P4. Now our next goal is to get some gods. Once we got some gods, it was like, let's go to bait and castle and try and take that. Like there was sort of like a harder grind to do, and it took us quite a while to start off. But I understand, like with some of the, like your target audience right now would probably be around that, 14, 16, 18 years of age, not that sort of older age which they advertise for with saying it's an 18 over server. I sort of feel like there's no grind in Minewind anymore though, with all these events that pop up every like month, 2 months, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely less vanilla grinding, which is kind of a bad thing in my opinion. There's not as much for noobs to run out into the wild and build farms or anything like that. It's kind of a shame to see some of that fall off.
I guess that was my big thing with this event too, like 2 weeks, like 2 months long. It was like, yeah, I remember my first 2 months, I was happy to just keep on to my P5 while going into the end. And if I lost it, it was like, oh, well, back to scratch, going to have to go dig for some diamonds. Like, now it's like, oh, don't worry, I can just go kill a couple of blazes and spawn. You know what I mean? So that brings me on to the next event, the weekly castle and bait events. When was castle and bait sort of a thing that happened straight away in the first opening of Minewind, or did it take a while for it to bring in?
No, Castle was not there originally. I remember when Castle was brand new. I remember that there was a section of spawn that no one could get to, and a few insiders got a TP there early on before the very first castle battle. And bait was completely different. You could fish anywhere in the server. You didn't have to be at the bait area.
That's something I forget about. The bait event as a whole was, initially called Triple XP Fishing Weekend. And so it was all weekend long, and it was no PvP or anything like that. And then before too long, they added the arena for bait without any word of what it was going to be, and there was huge speculation that it would be a free-for-all arena of some sort, and I guess they kind of gave us that with the slight adjustment to the bait event.
Do you think the bait event was created to be more of a free-for-all?
I think that was the intention, yeah.
Because during the fishing weekend, you could just literally stay at your base and just fish. And back in those days, you had to literally fish the entire freaking weekend. Full autism mode, I personally fished like over 10,000 fish one time.
Yeah. What was the rewards back then?
It was similar to what it was now. I can't remember the exact. It was in between 8 and 12 dags for first,
okay.
and then
you got a salty.
Yeah,
but I think everyone did it at the chance of a mythic, because I think the very first person to win got devilfish, which was like a knockback tin fish.
Yeah.
That also set you on fire. I forget
Right.
what its specs were.
Yeah, I'll have to post the parody of all those mythicals at the end of the stream. No, it's definitely I guess salties back then too would have been like a pretty not like the rarest thing, but it would have been like a pretty big deal if you won bait and won a salty as well.
Yeah, if there was
because
kind of a
back
time
then you
where-
couldn't repair them. Back
Oh,
then there
yeah,
were
true.
no god
That's
repairs,
true.
period.
Yeah.
So you could go through 10 to 15 salties, if not more, per weekend if you
Yeah,
really
and
wanted to
when-
win.
You know, somebody uses up a salty and tosses it to a noob at spawn, and to them it's great because it's a knockback thing. Even if they can't really use it for anything, they can't fish with it. You know, they're happy. The person who got rid of it's happy.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely very interesting. So what was so when Castle first come out, I'm guessing there was already clans. You could already make a clan and stuff like that.
Yes.
Right, clans were
That was-
very early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the things probably from the very beginning.
Yeah. So what
we
was?
should probably mention
Yep. Sorry. Go.
the big change with Castle. I can't remember how long it went for. Hobo might a little better, but it was originally like a head block that you had to break, and that would instantly teleport everyone else out of Castle.
Oh, okay.
And then they figured that was too random, so they added a sheep that had health.
I mean, sheep sort
I
of
had
feels
forgotten
random
about
too.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it's
sheep,
random as well.
the sheep being the heart or whatever it was. Yeah, that man, I forgot about that.
So was the block in the same places where sheep is now?
It was like
It
it
was.
looked like a tiny command block, and so as long as you break that block, you're good. But then with everyone, you know, it was like 10 people, 5v5 in that room, everyone just trying to hold their mouse down for 3 seconds or so.
Yeah.
And the heart didn't have near as much health as it does now,
Yeah.
so it was way more competitive, and it was almost like too easy to go in and take Castle.
Yeah.
There's been up and downs, yeah.
Was the rewards much the same as what they are now when Castle first sort of appeared?
They've gotten
Yeah.
a little bit better with the addition of the legendary items. Other than that, it hasn't seen much change in my opinion.
It's always been just the random diamonds and books and saddles and,
Yeah.
well, most of it's junk, but yeah, it's always been that way.
Cool. So what did you guys, I guess back when Castle and Bait first come out, it would have been a bit more exciting, but do you think it's a better setup now than what it was back then?
I would say it's at a high point now because of the castle changes we saw recently with the Guardians. And, you know, for a while, I think I might be mistaken, but the Guardians were disabled. The sheep upgrade was disabled. So It was really, really not as random. And they made some castle changes, even to the physical castle itself, which made it more of a team-based game for sure.
Yeah. You know, I remember it wasn't that long ago that it was late my time, so Crow's time would have been very early, and I added him on Discord because I was like, oh my God, you can buy the castle, whatever it was, the sheep heart or whatever, that's been disabled for years, and Guardians are only 1 dragon egg now instead of like 11 or whatever it was back before. So
Yeah.
I do like, sorry, this guy, Rabin's in chat. Rabin, do you want to get in the, do you want to jump in the podcast too? Like, you're going to be in my PvP podcast. But anyway, yeah. So we'll move on to 1.8 versus 1.12/1.13, I guess. Do you guys, obviously Hobo, you're going to say 1.8, I'm going to say 1.12, but what do you think 1.8 was more popular than 1.12?
I would have to say so, yeah. I mean, at this point, they've balanced out a little bit with the timing of how many players were. But, yeah, I'd say 1.8. People enjoyed it really more. People felt like they had stood more of a chance. Obviously, you saw more wild fights and PvP fights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's sort of hard to say because the player bases are kind of different now. You've got a lot of people who were around for that time, and not all of them have stayed with Minecraft because it does get kind of boring after a while. But at the same time, you've got a lot of younger people who have come on since 1.8. It's been it's been a few years, so it's kind of hard to say. There's some people who were never even around for 1.8 PvP.
Yeah. Well, that was going to bring me on to Bird. But you haven't done much 1.8, but 1.12 is your preferred.
Yeah, just 1.12. That's all I'm good at. Well,
Do you
decent.
find it too difficult to go back to 1.8? Hobo was talking before about how difficult it is for him to do 1.2, 1.12. Do you feel it's very difficult for you to go to 1.8 as well?
Not so much going back to 1.8. It's just that when I come back to 1.12, my timing's a bit off with my swing, and it makes it a bit difficult to fight.
Yeah. So you just prefer to just practice your 1.12 rather than trying to
Yeah.
work on both. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd just rather the 1.12.
Yeah. Cool.
One more thing I'll add before if we switch topics is with the 1.8, even if the 1.8 PvP, for example, let's say that's a lot more popular with the 1.12, 1.13, the building blocks for just building in general has gotten a lot more popular. So I feel like just Minecraft progressing in general has opened up more of a building player base, even more than a PvP player base.
Well, that does bring us into the next topic of the whole 1.13 update. Do you guys, obviously 1.8 to 1.12, you would have noticed something. Do you reckon we're going to get roughly the same, like with the 1.12 to 1.13? Do you reckon it's going to bring back a whole lot of players, a whole lot of new players, old players? Do you feel like there's a lot of hype around it, or do you feel like it's kind of just going to be, whatever?
Well, it is a shame that it hasn't, we aren't able to get it right away.
Yeah.
I think it'll be bringing in a lot of new players. I can't say if it will or won't bring back old players, except for maybe some people who are interested in building the Minewind again.
Yeah. Do you think it's just a hype train at the moment, or do you think it's actually like it's going to actually pick up Minecraft again?
In terms of just survival Minecraft, I think it's a lot of cool stuff. There's certain things that look like they could have been maybe balanced a little bit better, but not even in terms of PvP, but if you're exploring. But I think it's a whole nother thing now. It's it's a whole new world for Minecraft. I think it'll bring it back quite a bit.
I'm just happy for Prismarine stairs.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying to Bill. I was like, I just can't wait to get these new blocks and just be able to build some cool stuff. I remember when the whole terracotta stuff come out, and that was a pretty cool new change with the new blocks and stuff like that, which made it a bit more exciting, made you want to do something other than just sit there AFK or at a farm or something like that as well. I'll bring Rabin in too, because our next topic is going to be a lot with Rabin too. Hello there, Mr. Rabin.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to the
Caller
podcast.
number 7, you are on the air.
How are you doing?
Well, I'm fine, I guess.
Fine, I guess. So just a bit of background on you, Rabin, just since you just into this podcast. How long ago did you start Minewind, or roughly?
I have no clue. You have me on Arch, I'd say. Hey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I started like
pre-Throne, right? Or is that?
I don't know. I didn't. No, I started when like Throne just got released. I think. No, even before that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm like 1,000 days old right now. No, maybe just 1,000, or even before that 1,000.
Okay. Cool. So you are known as probably one of the best, if not the best, PvPers on the server, for those that didn't know. What do you prefer, 1.8 or 1.12?
Well, to be honest, Minewind is neither. Minewind isn't even 1.8 or 1.12. Obviously, it's 1.12 because it has the cooldown, but it's just a entirely different PvP thing in its own.
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna be able to kill anyone with the default god weapons you have in the store, or it's gonna be really hard.
Yeah.
And I prefer 1.8 because that if you're like actually more skilled than the player, you can actually like prove that you're more skilled, and you can actually win fights because you're more skilled. In 1.12, that kind of takes it away because the cooldown just makes it so you trade hits basically all of the time.
Yeah. So did you find it hard to go from 1.8 to 1.12? Did it take you a lot of time to sort of be as good at 1.12 as what you were with 1.8?
No, when 1.9 first got released, Minewind was just really bad at it because none of the weapons were balanced properly, so everyone did like 0 damage. And when 1.9 got first released, I'm pretty sure everyone just had to get used to it. No one was really good at it.
Yeah. Cool.
On the other hand, it kind of died off a bit after they rebalanced some things, maybe a couple months into 1.9. There was a lot less players that people stopped playing for a while. Who knows why? It might have been seasonal, people going back to school and whatnot. But for those who did kind of stick around, it kind of opened up the opportunity to let them practice a bit and kind of become the top dogs of Minewind.
Yeah. I feel like there'd be a big change in the guard with that, and we could even see it with the 1.13 as well. I haven't heard of too many PvP changes, but I heard there could be some stuff. So we could see another changing of the guard with this as well. Which, on to the next topic of the whole PvP and PvP changes. And what I'm talking about here is the whole sort of Warp North now being Warp North instead of PvP. The whole PvP now being a safe zone, with the whole duel being a safe zone and castle being a safe zone. I know back when you guys were first playing and doing PvP, that /PvP known as Warp North now was a pretty popular place. Do you guys like the changes of what's happened now, or would you like it to go back to the old /PvP way?
Well, I think that I see why they did the whole arena thing. It kind of makes gives more uses for the arenas. They were kind of reworking duels as it is. But the other thing is that North wasn't extremely popular as it was already. Maybe Era, maybe some Sun, but definitely not any Throne. I didn't see any Arch. So it wasn't really losing much other than just the giving people more of an option to not go there. But in terms of actual action, I wouldn't say we saw much lost action at North with the new additions.
Yeah. What about you, Rabin? You were obviously you'd be a /PvP, well now known as Warp North fan.
It's really bad. It's garbage. I don't know why they're like. Obviously, they want to put the arenas to use because they had a build event and all for it. But having keep inventory in an arena, sure, it should give some warning if that keep inventories off. But it really is just there's things like in gas. People ask because that's what it used to be. People used to ask 1v1s at Castle because they didn't want to lose their items. Yeah. But if you're just gonna ask for a duel, and you say, "Oh, let's fight in PvP," I just think that's a bit a pussy thing, because that's also the problem with Minewind. And everyone has so many items. They brag about how many fucking god sets they are. Yeah. But then fighting in the wild and then having a chance to lose one of their 50 god sets, they don't want to even risk it. I think that's really
yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from. Hobo, you were obviously around with the whole, I think they had the hardcore duels back in the day?
But duels were always broken, I'm pretty sure.
Would you like to see a hardcore duel system sort of come back?
I would, because it'd be one of those, put up or shut up type things. There's so much trash talk all the time, so the hardcore duel system was kind of meant to force that. It's if you're gonna talk, then go fight it out.
Sort of take it up that next level sort of thing. Okay, we can fight, I can bet you 1v1, but we can go with a hardcore duel, and then you'll actually see who has the balls to actually do it.
It was more like if someone was trash talking you, then you'd be like, all right, 1v1 me H duel, and that was it.
Another thing was that, to my knowledge, the H duels weren't around while E-Bones were around, which would kind of be cool. Now you can actually go in with the same kit for sure, rather than both players having to max it to know they're going to get a fair fight.
Yeah. Okay.
But there were a lot of problems with the H duel system, though, and that's why it's no longer a thing. I mean, if your inventory was full and you won, you were supposed to be able to pick up all of the losing person's stuff, and you couldn't.
They had some issues with that. I think that was the primary issue with H2O. There was a few others in terms of cheating, and if some random hacker came on and H2O'd someone, got some armor or something like that. There were some problems with that.
Would you like to see, Rabin, you're probably a good one to speak about PvP stuff, as you've played on a lot of PvP servers, but I know there's ones where you can sort of go into a duel with the same sort of kits. Would you like to see like a wager thing with Minewind with that? Like if you have a God set on or something like that, you would go and choose the duel of God set and you'll only be putting that arena with that. And then if you were to 1v1 someone, they would have to have the same stuff. Would you like to see something like that come into Minewind, or do you think it's just not very Minewind-like?
Nah, I'd say it's just Minewind hasn't really done a good job with balancing PvP because people take different approaches to PvP. Obviously, you have like a couple different PvP styles. The most common PvP style is just people like spamming OP weapons, not really sticking to one. For example, people just using Falcon or Indra and using Scythe most of the time, but that's not really how they're gonna get kills.
Yeah.
And
the only thing I would add to that is that I've played on some servers that have had both like normal gear and the kit kind of on the same server, and it was kind of problematic, not really done very well. Even when done well, I feel like it doesn't really fit quite right.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be hard to bring the hardcore duels back as like it's going to be the same thing. What if even as much as a day ago I said to someone, let's go P5 battle, like just gods, nothing else, and the first thing he shoots at me is a Cupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like it'd be so hard for a hardcore duel, you being like, yeah, okay, let's do this sort of specification, but then you go in there and you just outmatched by someone that's not cheating so much, but sort of getting the upper hand with their better stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas that's where I'd like to see a good, sort of wager system or something like that, where you could be like, right, I'm going to wager, 2 assaults or something like that, and then that person has to do the same thing. They disappear from your inventory, and then they come into your claim or something like that, so you can claim them when you want. I would like to see sort of something like that where both players are going to have to put something on the line before they actually walk in there.
Yeah, you mean like that you can like you slash bet someone and then like it pops up with a menu and it says like they're betting this and they have to like need the same items as they have?
Yeah, it's sort of the same as the dual accept. You just type dual accept if you have it, but you have to have it in your inventory at the time, so no one can get scammed as well.
I think it would be fun to see more of the jackpot style things, like with the build event, the what was it, the YouTube event, the trailer event. That would be kind of cool, even on a smaller scale. It would be kind of odd to add it to Castle and stuff like that, but maybe even a new event where that was how it went.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of the PvP change to Warp North either. Like it makes sense they make it Warp North since you got all the other warps, but I'd like them to encourage PvP a bit more than what it actually happens, or as I said, like a betting system or a wager system. Like we're in an 18 and over server, so betting should be fine. It shouldn't be an issue if they're worried about legal notifications.
18 and over.
Yeah, we already coughed about that before.
But that's Minewind could add like a lot of interesting things. For example, like it's really weird, but adding a /hardcore mode or something, I don't know, for Castle, so that only people that are in hardcore mode can actually attack other people that are in hardcore mode. Obviously, if no one's gonna like go into hardcore mode to kill the person, they can just take the sheep and easily hold it. So that encourages other people to also go in hardcore mode. But if they have better stuff, then obviously you also want to have better stuff. So that kind of makes it so people are forced to like go into hardcore mode and win with their stuff.
You'd like to think as well though that the hardcore mode would have better rewards than what the normal vanilla mode, so to speak, would have as well.
Yeah.
A bit more of incentive for people to actually go into the hardcore sort of spot.
There's
exactly.
even a thing that me and Rabin have discussed where it's like an objective that would entice large teams of people to go, but having it be hardcore. Sometimes you want to ignore the objective and even just go for some gear kills. I've seen some game modes like that, which would be really fun on Minewind, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. So pretty much the last subject. I think we've been going for just on an hour now too. The whole /ignore and /shout stuff. Bit of background. Do you guys remember when ignore come into Minewind?
It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So did it come in like Throne Days, Arc Days era? Do you guys remember?
It was extremely early on, if not like very quickly after I joined. I don't actually remember when they added it, but it wasn't actually used that often, except by maybe younger players and stuff until later days when servers started splitting and you started getting different groups of people on for sure.
Yeah. Did you guys like the whole /ignore thing?
Very much so. There were just all kinds of idiots who would spam stuff and wouldn't shut up. So yeah, just ignore them.
The spammers is definitely a big one. I'm kind of neutral. I don't mind it gone, but just because of the fact that I don't really have too much of a reason for it. But if it was back, that would be great too. To weed out a few players for sure.
Yeah. I know, Bird, you are a big fan of the ignore too, aren't you?
I really am. Yes.
Yeah. Do you
I
think?
wouldn't say that. Well, the thing with ignore was, at first, I guess it's good to stop the spammers, but when I played, there weren't really that many spammers because they had like a system that would like just mute the spammers after a while, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Then you just have people that lose an argument and then they just /ignore the other person because they didn't know what to say. So I think it's kind of weak as well at the same time.
Yeah.
Or like they couldn't handle them because someone's just bullying them in chat and they had to /ignore them.
I think it was a good thing too because it helped the community, if that makes sense. So when you had a scammer, I remember just going to other servers and being like, this guy scammed blah 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 for this. Let's just everyone /ignore, and then that person wouldn't be able to scam, or if they did scam, it was nothing major that you could probably replace to a noob anyway. You get what I mean? So I didn't like it too, and it's the same thing. Like if you're like Bert and I are at Sun, we're known as the top dogs, whatever you want to call us. And you have all these people that come on and just want to talk a lot of trash, never put up what they talk. It was so good to just be able to come online and not have to deal with it because we just ignore them, And
but it also took away from stuff. But I mean, you'd be watching in chat and it looked like someone's having an argument with themselves because you're missing out on what this idiot is saying,
Yeah,
it looked really awkward.
I wouldn't use it, yeah. The other thing is, I find their TP ignore system really weird. I think that's the one reason I would say that it could definitely come back, is it's just kind of a strange, like ignoring the TP but not them and whatnot. It'd be a lot easier to just ignore the player in general.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the whole changes of the whole TP things where you both have to stand still now and stuff like that? Do you guys like that sort of change, or do you think it's a bit... Same with the nickname, where obviously Glenn's old tricks of changing his nickname and stuff like that. Do you think it's a good thing that they changed it to the way it is now?
It's hard to say. It kind of protects the new players from dangerous people like Glenn, but then again, I mean, that was kind of fun too.
I'm embarrassed to say that my very first day on Minewind, like 1,300 days ago, I got TP tricked, and that took down the best clan aides back in the day. At least got their clan home rated.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'm a bit like, I like that sort of stuff on Minewind. That's what Minewind was all about. You had to be careful of who you accepted. You had to find ways. I remember when you used to, someone would message you on a nickname, so you'd give it like 10, 20 seconds, talk to them in global chat, but then quickly reply to their message to see if it was the right person or not. Like, I sort of like that guessing game around it and all that sort of stuff before they changed it. I like the whole idea behind you have to stand still when you TP, because TP trappers, to me, they're just garbage. Like, there's no need for them to be in the game. Like, I know it's a part of the game, which we can't obviously change, but I like this sort of way. But I remember the days of when we first started and Glenn would message me and be like, do you want to go on a raid? We'll go raid people. And then you'd get like 7 or 8 people back to back to back to back. And obviously it'd be shit for the person getting raided, but it was so much more fun than us. Now I feel I'm not very active anymore because I just feel like there's nothing for me to do at all. Like,
There's really not a lot of
raid.
raids.
Yeah, I can't go on and raid. The only way you can raid now is backstabbing, but I like to think that when I'm friends or when I have a clan or something, I'm extremely loyal. So I'm not going to backstab anyone that that
Yeah,
I said that I wouldn't.
You don't want to
in
build
the
up a
first
bad
place.
rep.
Yeah. Which moves us on to the shout. Shout, good thing or bad thing?
It's
Well, of
neither.
course, it's a star sync, sort of. Not really, but I think it's nice to be able to put stars into something. I mean,
I've got like a
kind of
shulker full
illustrative.
of them. They're otherwise useless.
Yeah.
They don't really add much of anything to the game unless you're. Well, even if you can kind of consider it for trading, because you want to trade something on a different server, people will be like, hey, trading this for Arch for Para stuff, for example.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's really just cosmetics. It's as useful as the fucking things are in the barber shop.
I will say it's far better than the previous system they had at one point, which was the cross or just the global chat in general.
Yeah.
You
That
turn it off and
was-
turn it on.
And that broke the /ignore. That's why it stopped working.
That's true. Yeah, at one point it even had there was a clan glitch where if you had clan lock on, you could see, and you're on another server, you could see what their clan lock was, what they were saying in clan chat. But it was quite broken. I'm glad they removed that, and I think this is a nice alternative actually.
Yeah.
It's nice to have the option, even if it's not that common.
Yeah. See, this is where I'd like to see ignore back though, because I like Luke. I get along with Luke as well. But sometimes when he spams his shouts, and I just don't want to see it fill up my chat, like thousands of messages over and over that are obviously 18 plus messages, which is where I think /ignore would work so good with shout now. But since they don't, we don't have the best of both worlds. We only have the best of one world.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else anyone wants to bring up or talk about, or anything before we shut up shop?
I think we've covered some good topics tonight.
I think it was a pretty good, nice history lesson too. Thanks, guys, for that.
Yeah.
Trying to think more of the PvP side for Rabin. Obviously, we spoke about the whole castle and bait thing, and castle being with the command block rather than the sheep and stuff like that. We'll go back to Castle, and what do you guys think about the changes of Castle? Like, obviously the Guardians were cheaper, but also the sheep pots being cheaper. We'll go back to events with Aegis and stuff. What do you guys feel about, those sort of Castle changes?
Well, I wouldn't say it only affected Castle. They've just ruined Minewind PvP in general. Well, okay, I'll just start with... the first topic is how hard it is to get in the sheep room now.
Yeah.
So if you have 3 people, well set, one is in the lever room. So if you have one in the lever room that can just keep people out, sure, that's the lever room done. So they can only jump in from the cobweb. Well, if they're gonna jump in from the cobweb, the other person can just Ichi-fall spam them, so he doesn't get the chance to get hit, and they'll get knocked out. Obviously, there's also another method. So if you're rushing with multiple people, you could turn someone from the other side while you're also stuck in the cobweb, so they get pushed forward. Then it's like a ping pong effect, and it kind of comes down to the luck, like who gets knocked out the first.
So do you think it's a bad thing that it's so easy, or that it's so hard to get into the rooms now?
Well, no, I wouldn't say it's a bad thing to get into the hard room. What I do think is a bad thing is, like, for example, TSC always had a really large player amount, just like Zero did on the Arch right now.
Yeah.
The problem with that is I think they should encourage something that you have 3 alliances, and those alliances actually matter, not that it's your shitty alt clan or something.
Yeah.
So you can actually have something with your clans.
Yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
so I guess Arcs, I don't know about Throne or Error. I know some we don't have a Mega Alliance, we just have our 3, but I obviously do Arc Castle a lot, and with all these changes, we can work on 1 or 2 people getting into Lever, and if we finally do get successful and open the doors, I like how hard it is to get in there, but then you have 6 or 7 people shooting you to the other side of the room, but then you have 1 or 2 that have the Aegis on as well, which is stopping us from actually hitting the sheep. And then when you finally do break all that, which could take, a minute or 2, you've broken that system, and then you're actually finally hitting the sheep and doing damage. And then they've got a pot that costs, 2, like an ember or something like that, where in an instance, it's a way to back up to full health, and then you've got to restart the cycle, and you're back to square one with 30 seconds to go. Like, sort of me feels like it is a good thing because I know how hard it was to hold castle. It was so hard, but now it's almost like it's too easy to hold. And for a mega alliance of 6, I think they've got 8 actually, 8 or 9. Like, what's a clan that has 5, 6 active members gonna do? Let alone a new clan that you want. You obviously want to encourage the new players to be able to compete. How are they going to compete against the team of 9? You know what I mean?
In the best case scenario, I think it really adds to the gameplay.
Yeah.
It makes it really, gives you more of a reason to get the castle and hold the castle rather than just hit it in the last minute, which was kind of the big problem for the gameplay.
Yeah.
But then again, you have servers like Era, maybe Sun, and Arch especially that you can really just hold it down and you get these big monopolies and not much to do about it.
Yeah. What are your feels, Bird? Obviously, we're the newer sort of players in this chat. Did you like the new changes to Castle and the Aegis stuff and how hard it is to get into Lever now?
As a Throne player, I do. But if I was any other server, I must say I wouldn't like the changes. I'd probably prefer the randomness of it and just a chance to get castle rather than needing a whole team.
Yeah, they should really just make a new build event, and that should just be a new castle, because this castle is so outdated. Because back in the day when I played, B4 and you had God Armor, and that was it. And if you had B4, you wouldn't be that underwhelmed than if you had God Armor. Obviously, the God Armor would last way longer, but it's not that major of a setback as P5 compared to Spooky is now.
Yeah. Because
if you're in P5 walking around in castle right now, you'll just die really fast.
Yeah. No, I found that out yesterday. I thought I'll fight people with just P5 on and see how I go, and I was actually surprised with how OP, well, not OP the armor is, but how much it does withstand these sharpened weapons and these cupids and all the rest of it.
It takes, I mean, even just in the fact that it makes fights last so much longer. With P5, you're going to be mending it up and stuff like that. Maybe chucking a few gapples for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Snowy Armor, the first other event than Spooky was Snowy. That's also the first event that had items added into the game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So when that first got released, everyone grinded it like crazy. I have no clue what happened to all the items. I'm honestly pretty surprised that all the items ended up gone like that.
Yeah.
Except for Arc.
Yeah, Arch has a lot, but yeah, the Snowy was incredibly OP because of the mending.
Would you guys like to see more events, not only just holiday or random events, but castle and bait type of events too?
I'd like to see a few more of those. I mean, it's got the Elytra races, which is cool for the non-PvPers. Hopefully that'll be out fully soon with the schedule and whatnot.
I
don't
wish
think they should
bring
add
back
any more.
build competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
More of those,
Yeah,
and then less holiday events, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we're around the corner from a build event with the 1.13 coming out. But what's the point of having a build event if they can't show it off like they do now? Are we going to have 8 arenas now? Is that their goal? I mean,
that's why some arenas that got left out that
Yeah.
were even better than the ones that were in now, and they could easily swap in if they have all the data saved from that. But
shots
Rift is
fired,
just
Hobo.
plain
You
bad.
build shit, mate.
Rift's bad, to be honest. Well, it's okay. It's good.
there's
it's
a
good
few
map.
that are okay.
It was cool that he reproduced that map, but I don't think it was good for Minecraft PvP, especially Minewind PvP.
No, yeah, you have such a tiny area. You only have the middle area where you can fight, and that's so small. It's not an optimized arena. Compared to Bones, it's just flat out in the middle. It's really good. You have some cover, but not a lot. But Rift is just a clusterfuck if you go into it. You can only fight in the middle, and that's it.
I did. Every time that I do go to PvP and I see this stat, I just leave straight away.
Yeah.
A, I can't find anyone, and B, once I do, there's no chance of movement because you're just running into blocks or.
But how do you feel about every time you do /PvP and you end up in the one that looks like Spawn?
That honestly, that one and the sewers are probably the two best ones for overall.
Thank
use.
you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I hate them. They're terrible. It's because I know it's over.
Well, sewers had a cool water system.
Yeah.
Yeah, that used to work.
That's,
Yeah.
it's weird that it broke. Maybe they'll fix that at some point.
Well, the thing that I find funny too is I think Ark Sewer has the big water through the middle of it, but
There was a redstone clock that would turn it on and off, and the redstone clock is broken.
Nah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, because I was like, every time I get so weirded out by it because obviously some we don't have it, so there's no water in the middle, so you can fight in the middle and whatever. But then I go to Ark and there's just a big pool of water in the middle coming from the roof. I'm like, what the hell? This is completely different. Is this a bug?
It's the same with the beta arena where it's ice on Ark, but it's not.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
It kind of is unfortunate too because you have some parts. I mean, you used to be able to fish that whole area, and now it's walkable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when Frostwalker first came out. Well, you used to be able to take damage in spawn. So when Frostwalker first came out in 1.9, I remember killing a few people because if someone hits you with a Dern and Gapples when 1.9 just got released, weren't like people prefer to use grapples because you didn't have sharpened weapons or a Giga yet, so everything was pretty good. But when people were Durned, they just run and try and jump in the water because they took fire damage in spawn. And then you could just like Frostwalker, because obviously they take fall damage if they land on ice. So you just killed them with that. It was amazing.
Yeah, that was quite fun. I will say on the subject of Rift, I think it's kind of cool to see the admins showing appreciation for references. We can also kind of see that with Tat's Aura when he made the video.
Yeah.
I think stuff like that's kind of cool to see here and there.
So speaking of events, and like I think we all agreed that there needs to be some more like build competitions in YouTube. What would be any ideas that you guys have of another sort of competition that's not a build event or a trailer event?
You should add something to the PvE style. Like you have custom mobs. Maybe add like, I don't know, ancient bones or something that you can exchange that for like a skeleton key, for example. And with the skeleton key, you can like find really rare dungeons. The dungeons are actually really tough to do or something.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, it kind of sways away from the semi-vanilla, but I do think that would be a lot of fun, So I can't really speak on it for the Minewind point of view, but I would enjoy that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know at this point because I've been on Minewind so long. It's made Minecraft in general almost not fun anymore. So I don't know how to even make it fun anymore.
Yeah. So I like the whole events thing, and I thought the YouTube sort of trailer thing was so good of not only just bringing a community sort of together, but it sort of put, like, I know from Tat's point of view, like he was a Sun player, everyone's just like, who is this guy? So it sort of put him on a map a bit more, even though us in Sun know who he is and know what he's all about. So I feel like an event like that is good to bring the community more together, as well as people are going to get a reward for it, and it gives them an incentive to actually do something. And it's only going to promote the server more, which I would like to see. I would love to see another build off where you've got a certain amount of days, you build them up, and you use the 1.13, the best 1.13 styles. I like to see more YouTube competitions where it's like, who can do a Minewind series, and whoever gets the most vote, whatever, whoever's is the best Minewind series of whatever subject they want gets it, you know what I mean? Like something where community can be brought together, because I think we're all in agreement that Minewind isn't the most, let's just say Minewind's toxic as fuck. You know what I mean? So like to create that non-toxicity, since we don't have Ignore, why can't we do more stuff that's community based?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It was a pretty cool thing they did.
Yeah.
Well, that would be cool if they had they made a new warp, like a shrine warp or an altar, and like you could you need like a lot of people, like you get really rare components or something, and then if you like the key to the 4th floor, that was a really big hype. He scrapped it eventually, sadly. But if they had something like that, you could vote really rare items, then people actually would combine those items, and then you could it's not really vanilla, is it? But you could summon a wither or something that's really strong. And the thing with PvE right now, because dailies are broken, you get so many tags. They should really just fix dragons. They should make dragons worth it.
Yeah, the thing that we just can't be like dragons are just a chore now instead of like an actual fun thing to do. But this whole glass cannon thing where you can't even walk into an end anymore because it is completely broken. And no matter how many people fix it or try different combinations to fix it, it is always getting destroyed. I know we're a griefing surfer and stuff like that, but they want to promote new players, but then they can't even do a dragon if it's available.
Yeah, it doesn't benefit anyone to destroy it because you can't really. The end island is gone. It's just gone at this point.
I mean, if they didn't have the bedrock platform in there, it'd be absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty sure that's why they added that as well.
I don't know if they really thought the glass cannon through too much.
Yeah, I remember sending in a few suggestions saying we need to make
honestly,
this not work against Obby like the Snowy Bow did. Like it doesn't.
To be honest, I don't think they thought through any event item they've added so far.
All I have to say is that the Rainbow Road would not have been possible without the glass cannon. Am I right?
You are correct. But see, the only beneficial thing for me now with the end and the glass cannon is I can make sure that no one does dragons but my clan now. Is because I can destroy the end and I can stay as the richest, or my clan and stuff can stay on the top because I know that someone can't get, 16 dragon eggs, 20 dragon eggs because I'm going to destroy the whole end so they can't do it. And to me,
true. I guess that's
just
look at it.
Yeah, that's just not fair. And it's the same as what if I wanted to start on Ark? I could be like Rabin, be the best PvPer on the server and can fight 1v1 anyone while the dragon's flying around, but I can't do it anymore because there's no platform to fight on.
It's just not an option anymore, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that used to be a really tiny bit of ball PvP there used to be. Like when I was fighting Zero, they just go to dragons because they're like, oh man, we're 5 billion people, we can do dragons easily.
Yeah.
I just always salted them off because string didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's even more like, even if you do dragons, the chances of you dying are really tiny because you can just jump off.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the whole nether loot sort of ruined it a bit as well. Like I did one day of nether running when it first come out, and I think we got over 2 stacks of string of sacrifices, which is like I'm never gonna run out pretty much.
Yeah.
So it is a bit of an issue. Like the end, I always loved it when you saw such and such had been to the end for the first time, and it was like a race to see who could get in there and kill them first. Like I sort of like that sort of twist that Minewind puts on things. Like, hey, if you're going to go in and do something, there's going to be people watching you.
Yeah, that's a huge part of Minewind for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess they kind of took that away.
And you could sort of bait too. If you had someone that hasn't been in there, you could bait, the top clan, and there's only 2 of them online. There's 2 of you. Get that new person to go in there because those other people are going to go in there and kill them. And then next thing you know, you're in a 2v2, and it's exciting. It's going to bring back PvP. Now you don't even see the message of when they first make it to the end. I don't think. Or the same with the dragons. When the dragons are killed, you can't hear it anywhere else server wide now. It's only in the end, which sort of takes away that excitement.
Even the thing, even when we were talking earlier about the whole another event, free for all event or team event, anything hardcore, that's pretty much what it is. I mean, if they upped the dag count or just the reward amount and fixed the platform, that would pretty much kind of add another aspect into Minewind PvP in general. Well,
I know they did change the dragons because I remember you could only do 4 a day, and I think it's up to like 10 now. I think some people in Sun have done 10 in one go.
I have heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did make those positive changes, but you don't have a platform anymore to beat it.
There's still not much you can do, I guess. Yeah.
Nah. So that about wraps it up. Does anyone got anything else to say or input or anything like that?
I don't think so. I'm all good.
I think so. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks for coming, Rabin, Wellfedhobo, and Fossil. Thank you guys for coming. Thanks for all the viewers for coming to the stream and watching their first podcast. Sorry that Crow couldn't be here with us.
We'll have to get him in next time.
Yeah, hopefully next time. I feel like the next podcast we're going to be doing is probably going to be a bit more PvP based than what it is a bit of a history lesson of Minewind. So hopefully we can get in and talk a bit more about PvP, about weapons and all that sort of stuff.
Some tactics and whatnot.
Yeah, I'll hopefully try and get Rabin, Tat, AK. They do a lot of
Yeah, that would be a big podcast.
Yeah, a lot of mathematical sort of stuff. So hopefully we can get that on board. So thank you guys again for coming. Thanks everyone for coming to the stream.